Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on prisms. A prism is a 3D object. The opposite ends of a prism are exactly the same in all respects. If prisms are cut parallel to the base, all the faces which have been cut are exactly the same as the base. After the cut, the exposed faces are called cross-sections. Let's look at some examples. Square prisms. The base and top of this square prism are exactly the same. They are squares. That is why it is a square prism. So this top here, that one there, and the base here underneath, they are both squares, and that's why it's called a square prism. When this square prism is sliced parallel to the base and top, the cross-section has exactly the same shape as the base and top. So imagine this was cut through the centre like that, parallel to the top and the base, and those two parts were separated. Then that's called the cross-section. So that section there is called a cross-section, and it's exactly the same as the top and the base. This is a rectangular prism, because you can see the base here is a rectangle and the top is a rectangle. And all these sides here, these lines, they are perpendicular to the base and the top. The cross-section is exactly the same as the top and the base. So for the rectangular prism, if you slice it through the middle, then this section here, which has been sliced, is exactly the same as the top and the base. Triangular prisms. The base and top are triangles, and they are exactly the same shape. So that yellow section here and the bottom part, they're triangles, exactly the same, and that's why it's called a triangular prism. Now here are three different types of triangular prisms. The orientations are different, but if you look at the slicing is the same as the two ends. Doesn't matter where the orientation is, as long as you slice parallel to the top and the bottom, then that section that you've sliced is exactly the same shape. The pentagonal prisms, so they're pentagons, see, because they're five-sided figures, and that's why they're called the pentagonal prism. And if you slice those again, parallel to those two faces there and parallel to the top and the bottom, then the section that you slice is exactly the same shape. Hexagonal prisms, doesn't matter which way the orientation, they can be going upwards or lying flat. They're called hexagonal prisms. And again, if you do the slicing across there, or the slicing parallel to this face here, then the cross sections are the same. The same with the octagonal prism. Now remember, the octagon has 8 sides. Here's a piece of wood, so that's an example of an octagonal prism in real life, and they can be cut perfectly parallel to the base, and the cross sections are the same. Cylinders are special types of prisms because the bases are circular. So here are two prisms, and again, if you slice them in the centre, then the cross-section is exactly the same as the top and the base. Doesn't matter whether the cylinder is this way or sideways, it's still the same.